be fair, it's usually people who are fat, ugly, have no skills, who just want to be somebody who they can't be.
Gem, he's exactly those traits you mentioned.
Gem is Gem. Has Ryan not got one of those funny friends that you can bring in?
Go into detail on that, please. Tonight would be preferable.
I could be a bowl of fruit for all I know.
SD a furry confirmed.
I would be with you, R-Techz.
Yo, what's going on? The ThaStr8UpBustas episode 31. SD, Gem, and R-Techz here today, or tonight, I should say. There is no Dingle with us. He is feeling a bit under the weather. Everyone go, ah. I mean, that last one was, I don't know what noise that was. But yeah, he, as SD said last time, he will be missed. But he's not dead, I don't think, hopefully. I think he's live. We'll message him after the podcast to make sure. But today we are on about sexuality, gender, and attraction. And all the good things that come into that. Now, I know that we've all touched on them before, of course, here and there. But it's time to get a bit more nitty and gritty. I would like us to do our plugins now, so when we end, we can do it quite swiftly. So we'll start with you, Gem. What do you do?
I do the straight up warlords. I also sometimes appear in some of Dingle Games' content. I have a side Twitter for our Twitter, and I do the Reddit.
I handle the X, also known as Twitter, or known as Twitter. I also have a little side project on YouTube. I just do shorts. I think the best one I've ever had was Super Mutants Get the Point. Yeah, a lot of people like seeing Super Mutants being blown up by Fat Mans. That's why.
Okay, let's get on with the shabam. So my thought process was to break these down into the actual, like 3 mini subjects, and I'm doing these in a particular order for a reason, which I won't explain what it is, but you'll probably get it by the time we start and then finish. So the first one I want to talk about is sexuality. Now, we'll do what we usually do. I like going to me last. It's a bit of a cheat code because I get perspectives on everyone else, but whatever, I'm the host, so boom. So let's go SD. In your thoughts, sexuality, do you think there's too many? Do you think there's too little? Do you think the world is too sexualized? Do you think it's not sexualized enough? I could go on, but what's your general consensus on the morality of sexuality? Oh, it rhymed. Go on.
Anyway, yeah, it's a real odd one. With the whole side of sexuality, it's not really that clear these days. Because, hear me out on this one. You could be gay, but still like girls, but not be bi.
Go into detail on that, please. Tonight would be preferable.
Right, men who dress up as women, but identify as men.
You're in trans realm right now, yeah?
No, not trans. They're just men who dress up as women.
So,
my bad.
Cross-dressers who are... So you're saying they're cross-dressers, they're into women, right?
Yes.
But they still would count themselves as men. So I don't see your point exactly.
That's what I mean. It's really odd.
They're not gay. They're just cross-dressers.
No,
they're still straight.
Gay. They are gay because they sleep with men, but also like women.
I'm so confused.
So they're bisexual.
No.
Yes, they're either bisexual or they're pansexual in that situation. There's one of the two.
It's like well, as you dressed up as the woman and you have sex with a man, it counts as straight sex for them.
No, it doesn't. No.
but if they're a man and have sex with a woman, it's straight.
Do you know what? I expected us to get confused at some point, but not like 5 minutes in.
This is what I mean. This is how fucking confusing it is. They can't just identify as either gay, bi, or straight. They have to be that something out in the forest where it doesn't make fucking sense whatsoever. Where if they dress up as a woman and have sex with a man, regardless of what they have down there, they count it as straight sex. But
So
I have no idea. I have no idea where you've got this evidence from, because it's nothing like anything I've heard.
So are you coming from?
They identify as they dress. I think they call it gender fluid.
Oh, okay. Gender fluid, yeah. Again, gender fluid people generally tend not to be either gay or straight. They usually tend to be either bi or pan. Because they can't.
You got to see how it pans out, guys.
Exactly.
How it pans out, Jesus.
Jesus Christ, man.
Oh dear me.
I'm willing to let you finish off your point anyway, mate.
Well, anyway, the view of sexuality is so
Open.
It is out there. It is out as far as the furthest star. It is fucking out there, and it doesn't seem to make any sense these days. I mean, I'm kind of like straight to the point here. You know, straight to the point.
Yeah, I was about to say I got that.
Yeah. Why
Fucking hell, our puns are on fire today. Keep coming.
Why can't you just be bi, and why can't you just be straight? Why do you have to make up so many weird fucking things that don't make sense, and flatten the whole shit off and just go, I'm just going to be this for today. I'm not going to call it a name, I'm just going to do it, and I'm not going to put it in anybody else's faces, I'm just going to fucking do it literally. Stop making up random fucking genders. Stop making up random fucking sexualities. Just be you. Just be you. I don't care what you do. Just be you. I don't want to know. I mean, when they walk down the street and try and dress up in bondage in front of young children, I mean, that's where I draw the line there, where it's a bit fucking weird that children don't really know who they are until they're, I don't know, early 20s. That's when you truly know who you are.
I'd say, yeah, well, yeah. I'd say that's when you start really coming into your own.
Yeah, coming into your own, yeah.
No, that wasn't meant to be some innuendo, by the way.
Yeah, but I also know you like that sort of shit.
No, well, hold on. Hold on, wait. No. That's
Wait a
not
minute.
what I like.
He doesn't want to sleep with his sister.
It's like Pantera. Walk. Be yourself, by yourself, away from me. And then you can't be something you're not.
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Walk. Respect.
And for the Avenged Sevenfold cover, I'm not sure if you guys have heard that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really confusing that they're teaching in schools. It's like, I'm already confused about what the fuck I am. I don't need some other drugged up fucking Fruit Loop telling me that there's several billion genders, several billion sexualities. I have no idea what I am. I could be a bowl of fruit for all I know. It's like, if you want to know this shit, have the lessons or classes there, but you would have to go out of your way to find it rather than going, here it is at a young age, and then confusing the fuck out of kids. I mean, for Christ's sake, I didn't even know what a vagina looked like until I was 13, for Christ's sake.
Hey, what's a vagina?
It was all like fucking like puppets and weird cats rubbing up against each other in the weird videos, and it just made absolutely fuck all sense.
What was it? You and animals.
That's how terrible communication was to me when I was going through like.
SD a furry confirmed.
No.
Yeah, this is going to be a new thumbnail now.
So yeah, it's just a case of if you ram that sort of weird shit down kids' throats.
Well, I think you're diverting into the next point. So I'll go to Gem, and then we can swing back around again. Gem, what do you think on sexuality? The similar questions that I asked at the start. What do you think it's gone too far? Or do you think it's fine how it is? Do you think we should teach it in schools? I might as well add that since SE's put it in there. Or do you think we should leave it well alone? Because I'll be honest, I don't remember being taught anything about this. And you got to bear in mind we're only 30 years old.
Yeah.
So in the past decade, a decade-ish. I don't want to make us sound too old.
Probably decade and a half, yeah.
Yeah, a decade. I mean, let's keep it a decade because I don't want to seem too old. But what do you clash with SD at all? Or agree? What's up?
But I'm one of the confusing sexualities that SD has. I don't really talk about it much, but I am pansexual. I also don't go to any like pride marches because I don't really care about my identity all that much. I identify more as a gamer than as a gay person. Well, queer person. I'm in the straight.
So you just compare being gay to being a gamer?
No, I didn't compare them. I said how I identify myself is more about what I do rather than what I am. Whereas you find a lot of the people...
Can we kick Gem from the Discord?
If you kick me from the Discord...
There's no recording, yeah. Proceed, as you were.
But yeah, when it comes to sexuality and like schools and that, I do think that when they're in their sort of like mid to late teens, so like between the ages of 15 and 18, that's when they should, have some schooling on it, as in like, because at that point you're well into your puberty and you've probably started to get some idea of your attraction, but
in this day and age, they might have even already had coitus.
Exactly. It should be part of the sex education about it. But that being said, I don't feel like the teachers should be putting labels on the students. Like, you get a lot of stories of like girls who, because they like more masculine things, that teachers start saying, "Oh, you're trans. You obviously want to be a boy, so we're gonna treat you like a boy," and stuff like that. And it's like,
it's not though, is it?
Yeah,
it's a tomboy.
It's a tomboy, yeah. Like, unless they specifically feel that way themselves, then they're not trans. They're just a woman who likes masculine things. It's like, I think some of us knew a guy in school who did ballet and liked dancing.
I'd fucking love to move like a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
They are ripped. They can move. They can fucking move if they want to.
Oh yeah.
SD, furry ballet dancer.
But like that was, at least at the time, seen as a very feminine thing, wasn't it? When we were at school.
I think I'd still consider it a more feminine thing. Yeah, I'm not saying men can't do it, but I would still see it. I would count it in that domain. Yeah. Just like I would boxing's more of a masculine thing, but obviously women still choose that path.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if before I met Jess, if I met a tomboy who was into cars, I don't know what I'd do. I'd be fucking amazed that I found somebody who's into cars.
You would fall head over heels for him, SD. Come on.
I would be like, oh my god, where have you been all my life? Because they're into the same shit as me.
Anyway.
She's got drive for it.
Whatsoever.
Okay, so you're into Rosie from Heartbeat.
Covered in oil, likes lubing it up. Fuck you.
Oh, SD, you're a married man.
Anyway, yeah, as I said, like, I genuinely don't really get the kind of people who are, you know, so in your face with their sexuality and that. It's your business. Why does everyone else have to know about it? That's just how I feel about it anyway. People need to really calm down on it. Like, it's no longer a case of like everyone is against people of different sexualities anymore. Most people don't give a shit. But all you're doing when you're going out there and being like, oh yeah, I'm this, I'm that, you have to treat me this way, it's just making more enemies.
Amen.
Meanwhile,
And they go on about white guilt, white privilege, and whatever else. But at the end of the day, that's their privilege.
yeah,
They think they've got some superior right. Like, I'm asexual, and you have to acknowledge it. And every time you talk to me, I've got to be known by this. I'm like, no, not really, no.
it's also like the thing with pronouns. Like this is the way that people talk about their identity is just them trying to control how other people talk about them. And
considering it's third person talk,
yeah,
it's pretty fucking laughable, mate. The whole thing's fucked.
if someone's calling you names behind your back, do you really think they're gonna care that they've identified you in the correct way?
No. And also another. I mean, you're probably not going to know they spoke about it in the first place.
Exactly.
One and two, if people are gonna, you know, I mean, what would you rather be? Would you rather someone curse your name under the sun with a bunch of swear words and cussing you out, or would you rather just someone call you a woman? I'm sorry, but I would rather someone just flat out call me a lady than call me this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
because I would take less offence to someone saying, "Oh, that girl." I mean, it'd be weird and actually be quite funny, but you know, if I was like, "Oh, that woman over there," I'd rather that than, you know, that. I won't say the words on there because I'm trying to watch my language on the podcast, but there's a lot more worse things to be called. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I get that being misidentified is annoying for some people.
Misidentified. If I told one of you, "Oh, I hate that sound," I hate that specific soundboard noise. You know, I mean, what's going to happen in the next episode? You're gonna spam it.
It's going to be SD spamming it. Yeah.
Yes.
I hate them all. That's why I've muted all of you.
Well, I've got audio soundboards muted. Yeah.
Yeah. I've muted the audio soundboards for everyone. It's like nobody's going to make that sound. I hate them all.
Okay. Amen. And I very rarely use it, so good for me as well. Although I can't find that I'm gay. What do you think about it? Why has it been taken off now? So
that would probably be up to SD, as SD was the one that made it.
oh, I can't find it now.
It should be available.
It's not there. Can't see it. I can only see that. Yeah, I haven't got that. I've got the other ones. How intriguing. But at the end of the day, who gives a toss? Yeah, so if you're done at Gem, I'll slide in.
Yeah, you go on. Yeah, go ahead. I was about to say that it's your turn.
I think it's getting a bit late for me and I've got to go. Bye. Sexuality, fucking hell. I think we could go on all day about it. There's yeah, I mean, I'm with SD, to be fair. I mean, even though I know you identify as it, to me it's just bi, straight, gay, the in-betweenies, the pans, the A's. The A's, that sounds weird, isn't it? Demisexual.
I still don't understand what demisexual is.
Yeah, and annoying that I can't think of any more at the top of my head. Someone feel free to shout one out. But there's about I remember applying for a job, and I. Oh wait, no, it wasn't a job. It was a dating site. Slightly different. I wouldn't be surprised if jobs start doing it. But I remember on this dating site, and they had about 20 different sexualities, and it was like, oh no, the fuck. I just think it's overused, and it's making things complicated when it doesn't have to be complicated. There's a lot more serious stuff going on in the world, but and as you said, I think it's gone past being a hate crime now. I just don't think people care. But I think it's narcissistic people that want attention. All these TikTokers that are going on and feeling like that. I think it's people looking for meaning. People want the purpose. They go on there. They make an account. They do these videos on, don't hate me because of my sexuality.
And then as soon as somebody does, they're like, "Oh my god, you're a
blah blah phobe, yeah, or a ist." But they just can't take the criticism, and frankly, I don't think they're living in the real world.
They're fat, ugly, overweight nobodies who want to be somebody.
Anyway, I'm still going on my thing. But I think it's got out of control, and sexuality, I think, is something that should be kept in private. I don't know how we got into a state in society where what people do in relationships or what people do sex wise. I don't know how we got it to be so public. Bloody hell. Maybe it's what you're feeding her. I think it's everything's just too in your face, as SD said. I mean, every other music video, there's huge tits and ass, and which I'm sure is very stimulating. But I don't know, everything. It just seems like the world just seems to be dumbing us down, and the internet's an easy way of doing it because you can access every mind. Unless you're an Amish, you're not gonna get away from it. And sexuality, I feel, is another way. It's just another way to be different, right? Yeah, that's me. I think that's just the ones that we grew up with are the ones that actually exist, in my opinion. Which sounds like I'm being a bit bigoted because it feels like I'm being very close-minded. But I can't help how I feel, so that is my opinion. And as long as people can recognise it's an opinion and not a fact, because in my view, I feel like the gender thing's a fact, but I feel like this sexuality thing is on a spectrum. But I just think it's a very, I think it's a narrow spectrum. Whereas, gender, they go here, there, and everywhere. But I think that's not. It's not.
No false Islam.
I'm sorry. No false Islam.
No false alarm.
Gotcha. Yeah, from the poop. Yeah. Yeah. But that's where I stand on it. So if anyone wants to just debate something real quick, I'm open, and then we'll move on to gender. Anything to add from hearing other people's thoughts? As I went last, I kind of sort of tried to counter and agree with what I could. So put on YouTube.
I do want to go back to your point about the music videos with tits and ass in it, and quite a lot of the time, this is me agreeing with you, but quite a lot of the time, the inclusion of those has nothing to do with the song anyway. Like, it's just there just to get people's eyes on it.
Isn't that just general shit pop music anyway that does that?
Pretty much, yeah.
But I'll tell you something funny, and I don't really care if it sounds sexist. The sexism within the
industry.
Yeah.
It's America.
You very rarely. This is America.
America.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, I was quoting the song. But you see it that way around. but you never really see it the other way around.
Yeah.
It's very you do see it, because I remember seeing one music video in particular where there was like a bunch of like Dream Boys, Magic Mike people. Fuck knows what it was, and I don't.
Dancing Bear.
What is it? YMCA style?
Wasn't that like a gay anthem I heard or something?
What's that?
YMCA.
No, it was supposed to be an anthem for the young man. Christian Association or something like that. It was an advertisement for the charity that would turn young men's lives around when they get kicked out of their houses, so they don't like get into drugs and that. But it was also just absolutely chock full of corruption.
A proper sausage fest.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, it just doesn't happen the other way around. So, which there wasn't really much to say on that. I just thought it was quite a funny statement to throw in there. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go too deep into this because it's obviously personal. But what makes you think you are? What would you say classifies you in your mind as pansexual rather than say bisexual? Actually, before I get deep, before I actually properly ask the question, can you define to me what pansexual means? Because I want to go by yours and not what I've read.
So pansexual and bisexual.
You don't have to discuss it if you don't feel comfortable, by the way. I'm not forcing you to start doing out your...
pansexual and bisexual just means that you are... they both have basically the same meaning. I just choose pansexual because it's more related to my attractions, where I'm not really attracted to men, but I am attracted to femininity in general. So feminine men who look feminine, or men that are transitioning into being women, I can be attracted to, which is annoying because whenever I say to people that I'm pansexual, and if there's any blokes around, they'll be like, "Oh, you're attracted to me then?" It's like, no mate, you're not my type.
You wish.
Yeah, you are too masculine. Lose some of that muscle and I might give you a go.
Yeah.
You fucking bumder.
Look, lose some muscle, grow out your hair, and put on a fake pair of tits, and we'll go. But yeah.
Shave your snatch and then tuck your penis between your legs.
Basically.
Basically, a sex worker from Thailand.
Oh, the lady boys.
Yeah. But
the lordy boys, eh?
Oh no.
I thought that was quite good. That was quite weird. Anyway, yeah, gender. Let's go to gender. Let's go to. Let's just do the same order again. SD, what do you think on gender as a whole entirety? Do you believe there is just two? Do you believe there's three? Do you believe there's four? Do you believe gender is an endless spectrum? What, you know, you can basically this is just asking me for you to carry on your tangent. Okay, so the floor is yours, my friend.
For me, gender is pretty binary. You're either male or female. You kind of have to work with what you've got. But if you want to, I don't know, be yourself, I guess that's cool. Just like, don't do what some of the full-on like gender Nazis do, where it's like, I'm this and you must know this and you must correctly identify me, even though I don't know, put it in this situation, I've just walked down the street and they've gone, I'm fucking a wartail. Cool, right, I'm just going to carry on whatever the fuck I was doing. See you later. I mean, I guess they kind of feel... I guess it goes back to the kind of... what do you call it? that whole identifying, they have to be special. I don't generally judge somebody on their sexuality, but I always have this like stereotypical, not stereotypical, but I always rely on the stereotype to correctly make sure I don't get screwed over, if that makes any sense. But to be fair, I do that for everyone. I think they call it the unconscious bias, they call it, where you judge somebody based on how they identify, based on like a group, how they're portrayed in the media, or how you've had experience with, say, their group in the past, that sort of thing.
Yeah. That sounds about right for what you try to explain.
Yeah, I think you got that. Yeah.
Bias. So I rely on that so I don't get screwed over, or I don't get in trouble, or I don't say certain things because I think if they, I don't know, latch on to something that they find offensive, they could ruin my life and pull out their, let's call it the gay card, and I could get done for
Gay card.
The gay card.
Just remind me like playing fucking Yu-Gi-Oh or something. The gay card has been activated.
Quick question: does the gaydar let you know who has the gay card or what?
It's like,
Does the gay card work as a voucher? Can I take it into gay clubs and get free drinks?
tell you what, the gay
I
card
think-
works in such a way where it trumps all other cards. So
I don't know. The
If
race
you're
card is
white-
pretty up there.
yeah, if you're white, if you're straight, if you're a man, you're pretty much fucked. Say you go for an interview for a job, you have all the skills necessary, all the experience, you are perfect for the job, and then you get somebody who's, I don't know, gender fluid, identifies as space cow, applies for the same job, they don't have the required skills, they don't have the required experience, they have to hire them instead of you to not appear homophobic or transphobic or whatever phobic.
So affirmative action, that's what you're talking about, has actually been banned in America. At least many states in America, because that was actually seen as worse than just allowing people to stand upon their merits, because it was also creating a rift between people as well. Because, like you said, like a straight white man with more qualifications and experience wasn't getting the job because the other people that were applying against him were of minority groups, and they were getting the jobs because the company had to fit a quota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is not good whatsoever.
And that's what I get. I judge somebody on their caliber. Like, if they're genuinely a nice person, they don't go out of their way to go, "I'm this, so you must listen to me," rather than, "Tell you what, this is a good idea. How about this?" I just don't understand how. Yeah, I get it. You're different to all of us, but I would never treat Gem any differently. Simply because he's been pretty much the same bloke since. Well, so yeah, since I met him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've been
Yeah,
exactly the
unfortunately.
same. I mean, you've grown up a bit, but you've been pretty much the same. You've
Sure.
always been straight up. Straight up.
Straight up,
Buster. Hey!
Maybe not the straight part, but you know what I mean.
Oh, we need a fire extinguisher and SD. Cool.
But you know what I mean? It's like, there's people like Gem, and then there's people like... Fucking hell, what's that fucking lizard? Popular lizard.
Popular lizard. That's great.
How have I forgotten his name? We literally done like an episode, or at least a yeah, we literally done an episode on him.
Schofield.
Philip Schofield, yeah. Right, you're either a paedophile or gay. Oh, I'm gay. Right, okay. I'm definitely gay. So yeah, it's either between Gem and Philip Schofield. I just have to sit on Gem. Not
Well,
literally.
I for one am very glad you're not gonna go with someone you don't know who's classified as a nonce over you. You're not gonna go with them over your friend. That's well done, man. I'm proud of you.
To be fair, it's usually people who are fat, ugly, have no skills, who just want to be somebody who they can't be because they're just loud and
Right, but Gem's not a paedophile, and he's exactly those traits you mentioned before.
Gem is Gem.
Oh, that hurt, but it's so funny.
Joking.
Fuck's sake.
I have grown outwards as well as upwards, I will admit.
You said it.
Okay, all right. Well, if you're done, then SD Gem, what's your views on gender?
Yeah, next.
Or is Gem a gender? Gemder. Ooh.
Oh, Gemder, no. No, I am male.
Yes, call it that. You are Gemder from now on.
I am
love
male, I identify as male, and I do use he, him pronouns, but I also do not care what other people say about me behind my back, because it is behind my back. If people want to call me a woman to my face, they can, and I honestly would not give a shit.
You're slightly confused too, I'm sure.
I would slightly confuse them by not
well.
caring.
Carry on.
But yeah, when it comes to me in gender, I do see people that are mid-transition as sort of in their own gender, if you know what I mean. Like, they're not quite fully what they want to be, and they're not quite what they were. So I see them sort of in this middle ground as just being trans, because they're transitioning. So I do see it as three genders, in a way.
So then, would you count So would you not say that a trans woman is a woman, and a trans man is a man? You would say a trans man, trans woman, they are what they are.
I would treat them with respect and call them what they want to be called. But like, if they're mid-transition, where they're like halfway between the two, where like say that they're coming to the end of their, well, they're like part way through their hormone therapy or whatever, you know, I still see that as a sort of like stepping stone. So, you know, you say that you got female on the one side, you got male on the other side, and then in the middle is a stone that's called trans, where people who are from one side travel over that bridge, and then when they're on that bridge they are trans, and then when they get to their final destination they are then, you know, women or men respectively, you know.
Look at you throwing in a Halloween reference there. Final Destination.
So Gem, do you think there's a possibility that they would regret their transition? Like, say for instance, I don't know, I think you mentioned in the past about their being educated or being pushed towards a certain stereotype, i.e. you're into masculine things, you must be a man or whatever, or if you're into feminine things, you must be a woman. Do you reckon they've gotten to that stage of life? Do you reckon they would, in some cases, regret their decision?
Oh, there are plenty of people that have had that experience and do regret making that transition because they were pressured into it. I feel like when it comes to these things, like, if someone pressures you into something, then you are fully within your rights to just absolutely hate that person.
Reals.
But yeah, like, the way I see it is the people who have made the transition, if they regret it at the end of the day, it depends on why they've made that transition. If they made the transition because people have pressured them into believing that they are something they're not, then I do feel pity for those people, because, you know, this is the result of other people forcing their views on other people, if you know what I mean. But if it's a case of, you know, oh, I've always thought that I was this way, but now that I am this way, I've realised that I was never this way, I was just mentally ill. I still have some pity for them, because it was the fact that they weren't identified as having a mental illness. But at the same time, I have less sympathy for them than I do for the people who were basically forced into doing something they didn't want to do in the first place.
Yep, I can understand it.
So would you agree that in some cases, primarily in America, that certain groups who pressure, I want to say pressure, but put pressure on, or push agendas, upon, say, the school boards, where they're supposed to be half teachers, half parents, push kids whose parents don't want them to, say, transition or identify as whatevers. I suppose that's more of a general question to both of you rather than just Gem, but I was just asking if somebody else has the kind of same thoughts that I do.
No, I don't think, if anything's been, it doesn't matter if we're talking about this or if someone wants you to, you know, enroll in the army, like whatever the situation is, if you're being coerced into it, I mean, by all means follow it if you feel that's your calling. But if you do not want to go down that path, I don't think you should be judged on it whatsoever, because at the end of the day, that's someone else. That's someone else. That's someone else's ideals. Someone else's ideals has been implanted into you. So I think you're well within your human rights to be like, I don't think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Like,
all right to hate that person.
In my opinion, anyone who tries to force anything on anyone is evil.
All right. Well, it was nice chatting with you guys. Bye.
So yeah, I mean, it was kind of like a really weird question. It's based.
I get your question, and I get why you were asking.
Because I've seen on Facebook where I've seen stories of like parents really like hating and berating and literally losing their shit over the school board that would not simply agree with the parents who have the right to know best what's for their kids.
It's also the case you do hear stories of teachers who see that a child is maybe struggling with their identity, and so then they're giving these children this information, but they're also then telling these children not to share it with their parents, because it's like, well, why are you trying to hide it from the parents?
No, the parents should be at the forefront of knowing.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
If one person or two people have to know about something about their own child, it has to be
The parent. Yeah,
you know,
I get that.
being the parent.
I get that. Like with some people, like a lot of these things, they're quite embarrassing to talk about with your parents, and so I get that some people will turn around and be like, I don't really want my parents to know this. So that's why they should be talking to an actual therapist, not, you know, a teacher isn't, most teachers are not qualified to deal with this kind of stuff.
But what if the therapist is aligned with the pushing genders idealism, for instance? Say it's not a on the fence, completely in the middle, based on both sides, not just one kind of therapist.
Generally speaking, most therapists will be the kind of people who just sit there and listen and then try to help you with whatever problems you're dealing with. So, generally speaking, you won't end up in that situation, but if you do end up in that situation, you should report that therapist and go to a new one.
Amen.
Amen.
Because a therapist isn't supposed to force things onto you, just like a teacher isn't supposed to force things onto you. Just like, even your parents aren't really supposed to force things onto you.
Yeah, true. I mean,
Hey, Gem.
surely would both of you agree that you make the most of what you've got?
Oh yeah.
And if you're uncertain, it should be you asking for that help.
Yes, exactly.
But you should ask from that help, not from one source, but two or more. Say parents, teachers.
Yeah, you should be digging deep. We should teach people to learn to ask questions.
Yeah,
I mean, hell, even the fucking internet, regardless of how retarded it is, and how terrible and awful the internet is, because there are a lot of arseholes out there.
Shh, that's our audience you're talking about.
Oh, fuck it. They obviously agree, because they obviously know how... They know themselves.
You know how the masses be.
They know themselves.
But if you're dumb, Gem, I'll take over.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to completely, take over your section there.
No, that's fine.
You're forgiven.
You helped me, explain more of my feelings on it.
So yeah, my agenda for gender is that I believe it's just two. There isn't any more. Yeah. I've heard so many debates about this and arguments and everything else, but there's no people always go on about they don't believe in God, okay, and they always say there is no evidence. Well, I flip it and I say, fair enough, but what about this? And they go, well, because but none of it's factual, right? And when and SD said this before, so I'm going to rehash what he said in however many episodes ago it was. When they dig up your bones, maybe it was Dingles actually. They're gonna know whether you're a man or a woman. That's just how it is. They're not gonna dig up your bones and saying, this was a non-binary Mr. I nearly said my second name then, but I held it. I was very close.
Mr. Beer Can.
Mr. Cider Can.
Hey.
They're gonna know. You're born with male organisms or female organisms, reproductive ones. I mean, and it doesn't mean to say, organs, organisms. Yeah, that's what I meant. It doesn't mean to say that you're going to be fertile all your life, because there's complications with that. It doesn't mean to say your sperm is going to be working 100%. There are things that happen. We live in an imperfect world. Sorry, that's just the way it is. But it does mean that the two, they're quite obvious. That's how you reproduce, right? Like, people figured that out at some point without a chalkboard. Let's just remember that. Let's remember the fact that people knew what to do with their nether regions way before they could teach it. So, whoever, call them whatever you want, troglodytes, Neanderthals, whatever. But point being, in my view, that there doesn't need to be any lessons about gender or sexuality at all until sort of the end of school. I feel like that's kind of sort of maybe just before Leavers Disco type thing. I think that should be one of the last lessons you learn, because people go on about the pregnancy rate. Well, we could probably stop that by not telling people so much damn information. There's enough information on the internet, for fuck's sake. We don't need to be telling these 12-year-olds about it. And it goes back to that naked education thing. I mean, I'm glad that people what's the term?
But would you say that?
Hold on a sec, SD. I'm glad people were up in arms about it because I bloody was as well, and we were all on the same page. I think SD was the closest one to agreeing with it, but he had like a sub idea. But point being, it's doesn't need to be taught, and I think there's only two genders. You get the unisex; they always like to lean on that, but you've always got more one than the other. It's never straight down the middle. As far as your chromosomes and that go, and your bone structure and whatnot, there's so many more factors. People don't think about it. They go with the trend, and we all know what young people are like because we've been young people. We've all tried to fit in. We've all been that person that's lied just so we can do things we want to do. Like we're not old farts so much that I don't think people can look at us and be like, oh, you're stuck in your old ways. Like we're young. We're not that old, but we're young enough to know what it was like to be a teenager. So I know people have confusions. I certainly did. You know, I've watched plenty of shall we say material that might be quite questionable, but at the time you're still figuring yourself out. But as far as gender goes, why would you be non-binary? Why would you be gender fluid? You can't be here, there and everywhere. It's people's personalities. Someone's was telling people they were cake gender. They said it's because I'm soft, I'm creamy, and I'm fluffy. I don't know. They went and said that, and I was like, "That's just your personality. That's not your gender." Like people don't get either people are just that dumb, or no one's putting them in their place when they should be. Like, imagine us saying this back at school. If we all met up at the usual spot, we all know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I said to you, and I put my hand on the trolley, and I said to you guys, look, listen, and this is going to sound a bit out there, but I think I'm non-binary. And I explained it. You guys will all look at me and probably end up throwing fucking stones at me. Let's just be real here.
No, we're not Islamic.
No, yeah, we wouldn't have thrown stones at you, but we probably would have thrown the cans of Monster or Relentless we had.
Yeah.
There was plenty of them to go around.
Yeah, but I got to ask this question.
Yeah, go on, SD. Yeah, sorry, I needed to just get it all off my chest before you went in.
But do you think it's important to explain the birds and the bees? You know, the route of reproduction.
I don't, mate, because we're not birds or bees. So
you know, like a male sperm going to a female egg in a female's womb to grow a baby. I mean, that is how the human race over a millennium
we've survived.
has reproduced. I mean, I reckon they should teach it that in school, but none of this fucking like gender nonsense.
I think they should teach the basics. I think they should. I don't think there should be anything taught in primary school. Leave that well alone. They're still in single digits, for fuck's sake. You know, if you want me to be really precise. No. You want me to be exact, so I will be. I don't think anything should be taught in there to do with it at all. Nothing. And people have said to me before, well, you got to say something because how are the children not know to their private parts to be touched? And I say, well, we can't. There is no perfect system. Like that stuff is going to happen regardless, as foul as it is. But anyway, this is where I fall on it. So I don't think anything should be touched on there. Middle school, I think there should be the basics of the reproductive systems, like the far basics. And then I think secondary school, as I said earlier, that's where you learn about, you know, your actual gender and sexuality. But yeah, again, it should be the basics. So I feel like it's each every 5 years or 4 years, sorry, there's like a step up, and then when you reach like sixth form college, you know, that's where you explore, you go do your own thing, sleep around or don't, I guess, do whatever the heck you want. But people should be taught about contraceptives, protection, you know,
how things work.
I mean, just normal stuff. I mean, I can't understand this. What the world we live in, which is so obsessed with this stuff, it's mind-boggling. Sorry, SD. I think I asked you a question. I went on my own little rant there, but
Kind of. The question I was going to ask you was, if the human race
I thought that was the question. Go on.
kind of say for instance out there, if the human race was one gender, like literally one gender, until you say for instance you chose it, i.e. you had no working parts, and you got to 18 and you said, I want to be a woman or I want to be a man. Do you reckon the human race would have progressed quicker or slower than it is today?
I might have to get you to say it. So do you mean if I grew up without what do you mean? If I grew up without my reproductive organs? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, and you got to
Okay.
choose when you
I
were
don't know
18.
how the fuck I would piss, but let's just say I could piss somehow.
You got a piss hole.
I have a piss hole. Thank you, mate. I'm actually imagining myself just with the hole now. That's pretty gross. Thanks for that grim image, mate. So somehow, some way, I could relieve my bladder, right? Okay, so we'll go along with that. And what was it again? So I could have that, and then I could, if I said I was what was
So,
it?
for instance, you were born, gone through school, learnt how reproduction worked of male sperm, female egg, and you got to 18, you got to choose your gender, or reproductive organ, and you chose, say, for instance, you chose male, and you, I don't know, went with somebody who chose female. Do you reckon like the human race progressed quicker because they haven't got this biological or I don't know fucking hormone driven drive that completely fucks with everyone's minds?
Well, I think you're getting me a bit.
With
I
everything.
think you get me a bit confused. So I'm born with no reproductive organs, and I'm just calling myself whatever gender I feel like. But for the sake of your argument, we're saying that
No gender.
no one is
You are
born
no
with.
gender when you are born.
Huh?
You are no gender until you are born. Well, sorry, you are no gender when you're born, and you have a gender when you pick it at 18.
Oh, I get you. So at 18, I then magically have a penis or a vagina. Is that
They take you to the hospital and they put it on you.
right? At 18.
Yeah.
So then your point was, if we all chose the same gender, would we survive? Is that where you're going?
No, what he's saying is,
Do you reckon it'll progress differently? Do you reckon
Oh, you're
it'll-
saying. Oh, okay. You're saying if everyone
still
chose
have
their
that
own rather than they chose their own rather than it being a biological
side
fact. We took a long time to get here, but I think it's a bit of a. I mean, as the concept is intriguing, but I think it's a bit of a an ongoing. It's not really a valid question, I don't think, because you're asking me to deny. Because you're asking me to deny reality in this scenario.
You
Sorry, go
could be gay because at 18 you would choose to be female
Right.
because you like men. Or
Hmm.
you got to 18, you chose to be chose to be male because you like women.
Hmm. Yeah.
There wouldn't be this sexuality conflict.
Right. So you're saying there isn't really a concept
You
of
chose your gender.
sexuality, but there would be still sexuality there, wouldn't there? Because just because I say I am what I am doesn't mean I like the other. Get me?
The thing is, if you liked women, you'd be like, oh, I'll be a man because, that's how it works. Or if you like...
Oh, now
That's
now
how
I
it
think
works.
I understand. My apologies. I'm sorry. Yeah. I comprehend. I think.
You like men because it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to naturally reproduce. Right. Okay, we are there finally. I don't know. I mean, the answer is still the same. I'm glad that I know to a T what you're talking about, but I'll pass it on to Gem because he hasn't said anything in literally 5 minutes.
Well, with the question in hand, I'm still somewhat confused as to how it all works, but yeah, how would we progress? I mean, like, I honestly don't think it would be all that different, really, because you still get the people who will just probably have not paid attention during the whole birds and bees bit and would have just picked what they felt was right at that very moment and then end up going, oh, well, I identify as this, but I'm into these people, and find out that they made the wrong choice. Or they made the right choice, but it still would have ended up in them being gay, but you know.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to deal with hormones or confusion growing up because your sole focus would have been to education, for instance.
No, yeah, but again, you still get those people who just don't pay attention in lessons. Like, in general.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Yeah, but it's down to hormones. Majority of misunderstanding, or at least driven by a young age, is down to hormones or imbalance. So if you're
From what I heard, these puberty blockers and all that are irreversible. Well, they're not very easily reversible anyway. So it's not a good idea. I think we should leave minors well alone and just leave it to adulthood.
That's why they say women mature quicker, simply because their hormones
Estrogen
are more stable than the male-driven, let's fight and fuck everything kind of testosterone kind of driven bodies, if that makes any sense.
Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that. Either questions you don't want to ask or questions that are like, what the fuck, out there kind of thing.
So the last one then, and we'll finish off. Attraction. Do we think it's a choice? Gem?
No.
SD?
Oof.
Oh, there we go. I was hoping. Else, go on, give it to me.
A choice? Because you kind of choose who you want to be, or you choose how you.
It's
identify?
what you're attracted to. Attraction. Is your attraction what you're attraction to? What you're attracted to a choice or not?
Yeah, but being a paedophile is a mental illness which needs to be crushed. So if you chose to be a paedophile, it wouldn't be a mental illness. It would be a choice. And that gets down to maths, which is a bit fucking weird.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So calling it a choice...
like I said, attraction is not a choice. It's what you do with your attraction that is the choice.
I suppose I would say it's not a choice simply because MAPS is a mental illness. Just putting that down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
You can't have one rule for one and not for the other, SD. Either it's a choice for everyone or it's not.
It's only really a choice if you are attracted to both, I guess.
Well, no, because you're still attracted to both.
If Jem would know.
You don't pick who you're attracted to. It's purely a case of I am attracted to this person or I am attracted to this person. It's not a case of, oh, I'm going to choose to be attracted to this person. It's just it either is or it isn't. You know, there are people who are attracted to, you know, super plus size women like Lizzo. And there's people that are attracted to super skinny, like skin and bones women like, I guess, Kate Moss.
Yara Knightley. No.
Or Keira Knightley, yeah. And then you get people who are attracted to people that are in the middle. Then you get people who are attracted to super buff men, people who are attracted to like round tubby men, get people who are attracted to like skinny twinks, get people who are attracted to, you know, people who look androgynous, like in the middle. You get people who are attracted to men that look like women. But you don't get to pick what you're attracted to. That's what the question was. Do you get to pick? And you don't.
I kind of have to agree with you. I don't.
Again, that
Having the choice would make it easier for the human race, but not having the choice would make sense for most of the shit that goes on today. Because somebody can't choose to be something that they're not into.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it would be
encoded for every day they're alive for, say, the first 10 years of their life. That if they have these certain impressions or something they're exposed to would affect their deep psyche, that would determine their future psyche, if that makes any sense. For instance, if somebody who's 10 years old, and they've had a really fucking nasty and horrible life, they've always been poor, for instance, they've been beaten by their parents or whatever, they would have a really bad reflection on future adults when they're in their teens and adult life. So I guess if you put it down to gender, not gender, but, you know, sexual attraction, gender, whatever, put it in those sort of situations where they have exposure to either, I'd say, confusing events or purpose-forced events, i.e. being abused, they would then have a hard-coded psyche for their teen and adult years. Because I know that sometimes it's...
You're saying people who are molested are more likely to become that when they're older. Is that what you're getting at?
No, because they would be...
I mean, that's what you just said, R-Techz, has actually been somewhat proven through statistics.
Yeah. But I think the question is...
psychological processes that have been... It's odd. Okay, let's take this back.
I don't think I've ever felt SD use this much brain power before.
Let's take this out of the human league for a second. You put a bunch of fleas in a jar, right? You put the top
there we
on.
go.
They would jump up to the limit of the jar.
Right.
So after several generations, you take the top off. Those fleas would only jump as high as the jar would let them. But as the cap's not there, they would still only jump as high as they would let them, as the previous generations were allowed to jump. Oh, fucking hell. I don't know psychology and sociologically social shit that we were better off getting some kind of shrink to actually do our podcast, because to be fair, that would make more sense than I do, and they would probably answer my question better.
It's not about making sense though. This is the straight up busters, not the straight up others.
It's not the straight up therapists.
To me, if I was exposed, say, for instance, to a different upbringing, I'll be a different person than I am today. So, for instance,
You may be, but I don't think it solely depends on
gay
that.
person, right? You went back in time to influence a gay person's timeline, and if you influenced it in a certain way, when you went back to the original, back to the original time that you left them, they would be a completely different person. Say, for instance, they would be straight. Or, for instance, you go back in time for a straight person, and you interact in a certain way that if when you went back to the time and place you left them, they would be gay. What I'm saying is certain life events hard code young minds to behave in such a way that they do now.
Alright. I think I understand what you're saying.
People feel really entitled when they haven't worked for it, or a person who's grown up poor would be really jealous of somebody who has something that they have not. That kind of completely disproves Bawaz.
You're a product of your environment. That's, in a nutshell, is what SD's trying to say.
So
fucking hard coding. That's what I'm on about.
You're talking about nurture, like in the conversation of nature versus nurture. You're trying to say that attraction is based on your nurture, right?
Well, I would say humans aren't exactly dumb animals. They are closer to machines.
I mean, have you met some people?
Question, simple fucking answer.
No, no, it doesn't make sense.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand that SD. If I'm understanding it correctly, you are saying that the idea of attraction is based on the environment and the way that the person is brought up and the things that happen in their life more than their DNA. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. There is some elements of truth to that. In the fact that I wouldn't go so far as to say that you can change someone's sexuality by changing their nurture, by going back in time and changing how their environment was when growing up.
What I'm saying is, like, so for instance, your dad wasn't a lawyer. He was a...
He wasn't a lawyer anyway, but yeah.
I know, but I was being really general and not giving away details about your life. But, so for instance, he wasn't that. He was a...
Hooker.
He was a physical instructor.
Alright.
And from a young age, you were pushed towards, being, i.e. the best at cricket or the best at running or, sports and shit like that. And he pushed you towards, like, Olympic events. Do you reckon you would still be the person now that you are today?
I honestly cannot answer that accurately.
Surely you would have a certain sense of trying to appease your parents by...
Yeah, but then if they pushed me towards something more than I cared for, then I would then go into a rebellious streak and be more, probably even more, like, more extreme version of myself now. So there's, you can't answer that question without leaving out loads of variables. Like,
Yeah, but to be fair,
it depends. It depends on, you know, how hard they push,
like
what they're trying to push you into.
Like the complete right amount of reassurance and encouragement where they treat you as their golden child.
I mean,
like you were a god in their eyes, for instance.
If that was the case, they were pushing me towards these things, but also I was growing up in the environment where that would, things would be the case. I reckon.
Like they were accepting of who you are.
I mean, they are accepting of who I am, but yeah.
Yeah, but we're not. We hate you for who you are.
Yeah, but you're a cunt, so it doesn't matter.
Right, I'm gonna go back, edit this, and delete every part where you spoke.
Oh, right, yeah, cheers, quite amazing.
Not you, I meant Gem.
But
anyway, proceed.
I am 100%. It's nurture. To be fair, I've completely forgotten whose part this is.
I think that, like, sexuality is specifically like being gay, straight, bi, and that. I believe that that's more down to genetics, but your actual attraction to what kind of people you're into is nurture. You know, like, you know, if you're brought up to believe that you can help people all the time, you may be more attracted to the people who, you know, come across as what you think is needing help, even though they're people who you can't help. You know what I mean? That thought that people have of, I can fix her or I can fix him, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, like, if you're, you know, brought up in a, you know, fairly regular upbringing like the rest, like all three of us have, you're maybe more attracted to more conventional forms of attraction. You know? Meanwhile, like, if you're brought up in, you know, some sort of like sexual deviant cult or whatever, you might have more extreme, you know, views on it. And you may be more into, you know, more extreme things.
Bondage.
Yeah.
Sometimes life events can be in the moment where if that, say, that electron within your brain didn't fire left, it fired right, it would make a different choice than it would if it would in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, it would split into a different timeline, for instance. I mean, in a parallel universe, simply me not taking a piss earlier would change the future now.
Yeah, because you would have pissed yourself.
What about butterfly effect? We're getting a bit deeper than this.
But kind of pushing it back, say, 20 years ago, if I made a different decision, I would not be with my wife today.
Yeah, you should have got with me instead when I made a move on you.
I would be with you, R-Techz, yeah.
I'm clipping that part out. Let's move on to Gem then, because we do want to finish sometime tonight. Gem, what do you think on attraction? I think you've given most of your views, but I want to give you a platform to say it, and just you with no interruptions.
Just you.
Just me. Just Gem. Yeah.
Just you, just Gem.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fucking advert. It's just you, just Gem.
Give us your view on your Gemder.
My Gem. Oh, this is going to be a great episode.
We need to put Gemder in there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying now.
So, like I said, attraction is not a choice, but it is based on your upbringing. Like, you know, you don't choose who you're attracted to, but the way that what you're exposed to throughout your life helps you identify what it is, and will sometimes push you towards a certain attraction. Like, you know, like I said, if you are in a situation where you're attracted to, you know, let's say you're really into this one person who is absolutely stunning, but then they do something that absolutely just devastates you, you may lose attraction for all people who look exactly like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you might then become more attracted to other people. But if, you know, if you're in a situation where you're in a relationship with this one person and you're attracted to them for reasons other than their looks, and then, you know, something happens and it's a really messy breakup, you might then not be attracted to that aspect in other people because, you know, they might remind you of that person, or they might, you know, you might see
I
that.
get that first part. I think the latter part is where we clash, because I think people are too broad with the subject we're talking about.
Yeah, it's very
People are
difficult.
going about what am I out of 10, and a lot of girls, not guys. I feel like guys. Oh, hello, drop my phone. The guys are more honest. I think girls always say a 9 out of 10. But they count everything. They count personality. They count all sorts of traits, their character, demeanor,
Yeah.
even posture, body language. But it is looks.
I mean, yeah.
Physical attraction is. We all know what I'm talking about.
Physical attraction is looks. Yeah.
Attraction. So I have mental attraction to myself, but I'm not going to try and fuck myself.
I mean, have you watched Loki?
At least not on stream.
I get what you're saying. When we're talking about physical attraction, yeah, it is purely on the physical. But relationships aren't purely based on physical attraction. They can be started with physical attraction, but then if you find that you have absolutely nothing in common and you both absolutely hate each other's guts from like the way that you interact with each other, that relationship isn't going to last. You still need to have.
It's going to falter, but that's not what we're talking about.
I know, but
that's the point I'm making. We've got a section already dedicated to this, but I know it filters in at some point. But
yeah.
We're not on that wavelength. You know, of what I'm talking about at least isn't going to that stage. So
Yeah.
I do see what you mean. I wouldn't want to be with someone who's the next Eva Longoria, and at like a bloody Nicky Bond. Oh, no names. You know, yeah. I highly doubt she even knows we're doing this, let alone. I mean, I was just thinking at the top of my head. So.
I don't know. She is kind of crazy. She probably stalks SDs.
She might do. Maybe I'll clip that part out and keep it as a separate file and then send it to her.
But yeah, like I get what you mean. Yeah, even then, like purely physical attraction, you don't get to choose it yourself. It's something that is informed into you by your surroundings.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of means. Yeah. But I can find dudes attractive. That doesn't mean to say that I want to get in bed with them.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a big difference between that. And I remember back in the day, I used to be scared. I used to actually be afraid to act like that and be like that. But in the past, you know, since adulthood onwards, I just didn't give a damn now. Well, why should I give a crap? What? Yeah, it's all.
Being an adult.
I don't know. Well, why should you give a shit? You can still recognise someone's good looks. It doesn't mean to say it. What does it really mean? You know.
Yeah.
But I think that's what some people, the younger people, might be getting confused with. You know, they see Ariana Grande on screen, they're like, "I must be a lesbian." It's like, well, you could find her attractive. Doesn't mean to say you want to. Doesn't mean you want to pursue anything with her. Like,
You can identify someone as being attractive without, being sexually attracted to them.
bingo.
Yeah, don't compare it to Ariana Grande because she's the lizard who thought Islam is love. The events recently obviously show otherwise.
I was not privy to that, and we did so well without getting to that SD, but you had to crop up.
Well, you had to mention her.
Also,
So well, we did so well.
also, recent events have shown that also Judaism isn't love either. So
Yeah, but we know that's been from the start.
Yeah, but they have cool hats.
Oh, that comment just got me.
I never have buttons, but I wear a cool hat, and my homies agree. I really look good in black, fool.
Yeah, that's Amish. Most Amish people are actually Christians, but still, that's hilarious.
I know, yeah. I just associate the look with, yeah.
I mean,
How I did, what profession I do, and it's a very Jewish area. So I've certainly seen a lot of them. Attraction for me, yeah, I feel like you can't decide it. But I do agree, acting on it is a different matter. At the end of the day, I'm not going to use me as an example because this is very extreme. Let's use Dingle as an example because he's not here. So if Dingle had a thought come into his head tomorrow morning, he woke up from his bed, rolled over, and he thought, oh, I have a sudden urge to shoot up a mosque, right? And then he acted on it and did it. We'd all be like, "What the fuck?" Chain him to a bed and electrocute him. Maybe not that, but be in jail at least. But we've all had bad thoughts. I know I have, and if you guys say you haven't, then you're lying, and I will kick you all out of the podcast. But
I've had a fairly similar thought to the one that you've explained, except it wasn't a mosque.
Right, okay. We won't go into that. We'll do that obviously. But they've all crept in at some point, and we've what's the term? We've shut them out.
Yeah.
So
we haven't acted on it yet.
It's in that realm. If you're attracted to the same sex, fine. Opposite sex, fine. The transgender thing gets very confusing because they always say we don't want to be boxed in by your stereotypes, but then if they want to be the opposite gender, they will do the stereotypes of which society is given.
Yeah.
I remember someone saying to me once, they were like, if they want to become a transgender woman, a proper woman, why would they shave? Why would they put makeup on? Because that's the same people who complain about society norms. And I thought, fuck me, that's a damn good question. So it's very contradicting and doesn't line up. There's a lot of can't think of the word, but yeah, it's a thin line to walk on. That's for sure. Very, very thin ice. But I think attraction you can't choose. But just because you can't choose it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. But then again, how do we find out what ethics are? Well, you would hope we find that out at school. So instead of teaching people to have sex at 8 years old, how about we teach them about stuff they need to know, like history and geography and science and English and maths, and to love each other, not in a sexual way, but actually be caring to humanity as a whole, and teach them about money, and teach them how to keep a roof above their head, teach them ways to get food. You know what I mean? There's and how important family is.
1984's way of thinking.
Well, we're not there anymore, mate. We are 30 years.
Away from their parents, and you train them to be how your society is. Or
Yeah.
He's talking about the novel, not the actual time.
Oh.
The ideal state of the future would be you have the right to be who you are, but you also have the right to disagree.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you should. That's freedom of speech, our human rights. But they're planning on taking it away. There will all be hate speech. Sooner or later, you won't be able to speak up against anyone. That's how it feels like it goes.
Think about it. Not everyone thinks the same way as you do. I mean, it's the whole situation of race. Not every white person's a racist.
Well, of course not.
Not every black person's a non-racist.
A non-racist?
Yeah, you can't call black people racist because reverse racism doesn't exist, apparently.
We had
the whole context of things, when you look down future society, it has to be based on the merit of a person rather than the stereotype, which is almost impossible because if they join a workplace, you have to learn from the person. But
yeah.
if you give the person
I don't want to
start, you'll end up destroying everything.
Yeah.
If you don't give them enough freedom, they can't do their job. So it's having that baseline at the beginning.
I like hearing what you got to say, SD. I always do. I love hearing it for all of you, but we're rehashing something you said earlier, so I don't want to keep on that. So let's do final thoughts and get the flipper neck out of there. We're gonna hold on, SD. You'll get your chance, mate. Let's try and bring it to a close because I'm going to be honest. Actually, even though we're a man down, it's been very interesting. This feels like a one where it was just me and you, Gem, where we sort of got lost in our conversation a bit, and we were like, "Oh fuck, that's time."
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing by any means, as long as people want short schedule. So we'll go to Gem first. We'll go to Gem first. What do you think of this gender, sexuality, attraction? If you could just sum it up all into one, where, you know, if I put you on your deathbed and
please don't kill me. If I had to put it into one word, there is only one word that properly talks about this whole topic, and that is confusing. Like, it is confusing for everyone. Don't get me wrong. But, like I said, like we've all said, really, like, it's not something that really needs to be taught to very young people. Like, when they get into their, like, mid to late teens, into adulthood, then it's something that we can really hash out and talk about, because that's when they're starting to understand it all. Like, you know, like we said, like, kids that are still in single digits, even up to like 12, 13, then they're not in a position where they can truly understand the very broad concept of sexuality, gender, or attraction. They don't understand it, and they don't really have a frame of reference for it. But you get into like people who are 15 to 18, that's when they really need to start learning about it. And yeah, I get why some people are saying, like, look, we should give them some foundation in earlier years. But a lot of these people are trying to push it a lot further than it needs to be at that age.
Amen. What? And then you've got to ask the people, why would you want people at this age to know? That's the real question. And you always notice at the videos that SD's talking about, the panel have nothing to say.
Yeah.
And and people have been quoting books that are in the libraries, and they've told them to stop and been kicked out, and it's like, groomers much?
Yeah. It's one of those things where, you know, yeah, children should learn like the basics of biology that, you know, there are men, there are women, and, you know, when a mummy and a daddy loves each other very much, they create children and stuff like that. But they don't need to know, like, the ins and outs of, you know, sex and gender.
Agreed.
Nobody caught on to my pun there.
Say it again.
The ins and outs of sex.
No, you can't say it. No, do it twice and ruins it. I'll go back and listen to it, and I might get it then.
Yeah,
but I'm not gonna
edit that part out, will you?
do it.
But yeah, you know, they don't need to know that, and it's around about the 15-year-olds that, like, when they're at like 15 to 18, that's when they need to start learning about this kind of stuff. Because, like, when you're about 15, that's when you start feeling the sexual attraction, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like,
Mine was at about 5, but yeah.
Yeah, like, when you were 15, that was when you started being, like, actually, like, hey, I'm really into such and such a person, or I'm really into, you know, I really have a thing for, like, using a conversation we were having outside of this in the group chat, like, using Dingle's example of Alice from the Resident Evil series. Dingle was really into her. And he probably would have been at 15 because that was when, like, the first movie came out.
I don't know. She's just got such a horse's face to me. Sorry, Dingle.
I mean, Charlotte doesn't agree with you with that.
Well, that's nice, I guess.
But yeah, like, it's one of those things where that's around the age that people should start learning about, you know, safe sex, consent, you know, your sexuality, the proper, like, identification of gender, you know, all that kind of stuff. But even then, like, not in a way that forces them to believe that they're something they're not. You know? It's got to be resources that help them understand the world better, but not stuff that then turns around and says, so, Billy Bob, because you're really into your dancing and your fashion and that, you're actually what we call a trans woman.
I'm sorry. Did you just make someone's names up? That's called Billy Bob.
Yes.
You're a trans woman. What?
You knew what he meant, SD. We went over this earlier.
Yeah.
Walk up to like a random guy and say, "By the way, you're a trans woman."
No, that's kind of what
this is in school. I'm pretending to be a
Yeah,
teacher that's forcing someone to become trans.
Yeah.
Does it go back to your point that if somebody's forcing that agenda, that they're arseholes?
Yes.
There's someone who's forcing their ideals at someone at such a young age. They're very susceptible, and they'll soak it in and use it.
Yeah.
Apparently, children can be easily manipulated.
Of course they can.
Yeah, they're children.
I'm not being funny. We all believed in the boogeyman and the fairy godmother. What's it called? Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny. You know what I mean? We all did.
Yeah.
The reason I found out Santa Claus wasn't real is because I saw my bloody parent. I can't remember who it was. Mum or Dad come in and literally put the present on the floor.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I used to think the monsters.
Sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you, SD, because I want to keep some structure here.
They're in my own head.
SD. Sorry, I'm not trying to be an arsehole. Finish off your point, Gem, and we'll go to SD, and he can say what he wants.
Yeah. Basically, like, you shouldn't be forcing your ideals onto other people. It should be a resource for them to turn to and see if it fits them. But it shouldn't be you going, yeah, this is you, this is you, this is you. Because ultimately, if you force someone into something that isn't actually them, they're going to regret it. And you find that a lot of people who have been forced into transitioning end up with severe depression and ultimately take their own lives.
Copying themselves, yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of my final thoughts.
All right, SD, you may speak.
Mine's a bit far-fetched. It's not really commonly known, and I'm sure a lot of people probably won't agree with it. But everyone knows the not famous, but yeah, I'll say famous show Rick and Morty. And my thought process on this, with the canon lore in it, is you have the Rick paradox, where everyone doesn't want to exist, but when they do want to exist, but they don't have the right to exist. And when they do, they make their own personality and who they are seem really important, when in reality, they don't have any importance whatsoever in the universe, because they're such a tiny speck of bullshit in the entirety of things. So in a sense where you are a machine, be the machine first, but it doesn't matter whatever the fuck you put your dick or vagina in, if that's even possible. At the end of the day, you're literally just a floating meat and mech armor with a spaghetti central nervous system and brain controlling this meat and mech armor, flying through space at God knows how fast, whilst the galaxy around you is spinning at God knows what fast, flying through the universe at God knows what speed it is. That our existence is so meaningless and inconvenient, it doesn't matter. So, to be who you are, just be it. Don't fucking try and make a fuss out of it. I mean, hell, if you like women, that's cool. If you like men, that's cool. If you like being both, fuck it, it's cool. But don't try and make such a fuss that you seem more important than everybody else, when in reality, you're not. And as soon as you're humbled by your existence, you'll just get on your life and just fucking live it. And you won't be distracted by all this fucking bullshit. I mean, you don't want to put this fucking weight on your kids. When my daughter goes through school and then she comes home to me and says, "Oh, I'm thinking I'm gay." Like, okay, that's cool, alright. Why do you think you're gay? Oh, because I like this. Or I like what boys like. It's like, okay then. Tell you what, we'll go with that. But don't think you are. And then one day she'll bring a boy home and, I don't know, she'll piss me off by getting down to it, if you know what I mean. And I'll walk in and go, "What the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck out of my house now." to the lad. So it's just simply a case of where I won't force my opinion on what my daughter thinks, but I just say, look, don't think you are what you are, just be what you are. Because it may come to, it may just fucking come to it where you may think one thing, but you'll act another. I mean, hell, I wouldn't care. I'd still love her the same way. I'm not. I don't know if at some point one of you two have kids, and you want to, completely support them, whatever, or you want to push your own agenda, or say, "Oh, being trans is wrong," or I don't know, being gay is wrong, or whatever. I don't really care. But in a sense, as long as you support your kids in the right way, they will work in the right way. It's not a sense of the right means by the wrong person will work in the wrong way. It'll be a case of whatever will be, and you just kind of have to go with it.
Let it be. Let it be. I think
this
Oh,
is
sorry.
coming from a father. I mean, I want her to be who she wants to be, but I'd rather her be a machine first than a human. I'd rather be that person who's on point, getting the money and living the life and fucking being above everybody else on this fucking planet. I mean, I don't care if she's number one, as long as she's up there in the fucking hundreds, and give me, you know, a sweet retirement, if you know what I mean. Well, I don't really have to work for anything. I mean, that's kind of shit. But like, alright, love, just fucking set me up in a garage and I'll build cards for the rest of my life. I don't give a shit.
You're an optimistic prick, you know.
Thing is, she's got a mother she's quite emotionally switched on. She works in childcare, and she knows the whole education side.
No real jobs.
No real jobs. And she's got. Here's the thing. I'm good at maths. Mother's good. And I'm hoping
You can count on it, mate. I'll let you sum it up.
both here through the genes. And if I support her in the right way, or I'm not forceful, or I don't do enough, she'll excel of what she wants to be. I mean, hell, that's just being a father in reality. I mean, I don't want to be one of these Christian fathers where, no, you can't be gay. But in a case of, I don't know, you might be, you might not, but we'll just fucking go with it for now and see what happens. And they might change their mind. Think about it, if you force kids, they'll do the opposite. I mean, that's been fucking plain across history. If you force somebody to do something, they'll do the fucking opposite. So if you just go with it, or confuse the fuck out of them, they'll go, alright, I'll go the original part, and just push naturally, rather than the opposite direction, or with the direction, if you know what I mean. Because they're never pushing the same direction you do. But going to the Rick paradox, yeah, just fucking study everything, fuck everything, and be everything all at the same fucking time, because that's who Rick is.
Well, thank fuck we don't live in that universe then, eh? Otherwise it'd all be sexually fucking disease ridden.
He fucked a planet.
Yeah, none of us are ever doing that.
An entire planet.
But back to reality, I do feel both of you are saying my final thoughts are do you know what? This is probably the hardest episode to sum up, because I think I've literally said everything I need to say. It shouldn't be brought upon people that you shouldn't be indoctrinating people. Although folks won't want to hear that word, but that's exactly what it is. It's the same as you go into a Christian school. They give you all the ideals of what the establishment stands for. I don't think that's how. You shouldn't be whitewashed into it, or brainwashed. Sorry. Same with sex ed lessons. Learn the basics. There's no need to. It's funny because we go on about this and people label us as like we're hating the movement or something. I think it's a lot deeper than that. In sexuality and in terms of gender, I don't think it's something that should be easily overlooked. It's a double-sided sword, isn't it? A double-edged sword, because where I feel like you should be free to express who you are, there's a definite difference between personality and gender. So, you know, if I just come up to you guys and I said a bunch of bunch of traits about my characteristics, you'd all be like, okay. And then I said after that, oh, that's my gender. I'm now blah 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 gender. He'd be like, what? Like our way of thinking is so different to the people now. Like all these kids and these teens, they're all growing up on all this just falseness, and it's so prevalent, and frankly, it just pisses me off. I mean, I'm actually thankful I haven't got any offspring, to be quite honest. I'm me in the future, but I'm no spring chicken now, so so I feel for you, SD. Actually, you should really protect her. Make sure if she has to be homeschooled homeschooled mate, then by all means do that. As it won't be easy, but you know, if you've got the money, put her in private school. I mean, the public educational system is. I've heard enough to last me for a lifetime. I just can't, you know. I mean, I know you don't want drag queens telling stories to your daughter, so you know, that's just one example. Hold on. That's just one example I'm using, but so just think carefully about it. I mean, I know she hasn't long been born, so I don't know why I'm bringing it up now, but yeah, I think I've got a passion for these things, even though I haven't got any of my own. But it's making things more confusing, and this stuff should be simple. Man, woman, gay, bi, straight, maybe pans if you want to really push the boat out there. But there's no reason why asexual should be a thing. Like, when did we get to a stage where every little thing somebody likes or doesn't like or does differently or doesn't do has to be labelled? Like, we're in a world where people have a go at you for labelling, but they'll also label themselves. And it's just, mate, it just frustrates me so much. Anyway, I've calmed down now, I think. But if none of you have anything else to add, I'll take us out of here. Gem, SD, any last minute plug-in? I think we did that at the beginning, but feel free to speak your piece now or forever hold it.
Now that you bring it up, I identify as a cake because I'm so full of fat.
Cake.
Nah.
SD, anything else to add before we end it?
That's it, mate. Just call it there.
Oh, okay. So we have been the ThaStr8UpBustas. We have G to the E to the M. We have S to the U to the R to the E to the D to the I to the E to the S to the A to the L to the O to the T. Fucking hell. And I'm not even going to bother doing mine. R-Techz, we've missed you sorely, Dingle. Have fun listening to this back, because apparently it's 2... Oh, fuck me, it is actually 2 hours. Yeah, do you know what I feel like doing? I feel like leaving like an extra hour or 2 of just nothingness. So Dingle's just waiting there like, what's going on? Nothing left. Gender, sexuality, attraction. This has been it. Let's have a little goodbye from everyone, and then we'll head out.
See ya.
See you later.
ThaStr8UpBustas, episode 31. Peace.